Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all my baggage droppers around the world, welcome to another episode of the Drop Your Baggage podcast with me, your host, Charles Woolfork, the self-talk engineer. And we have an amazing goddess, Kara Robinson, right here. And we on the Drop Your Baggage podcast talk to people that are dope, who can give you hope and also teach you a technique to help you cope. So silly. And we are brought to you by our sponsor, Brianna Company. Now, Brianna Company is a jewelry boutique that makes durable, minimalist jewelry with genuine pearls, local shells, and sea glass, natural gemstones, precious metals, and quality handcrafted designs. Ladies and gentlemen, that's once again Brianna Company, and you can see all of her wonderful jewelry on brianneandco.com, and you can see her outstanding work on IG and Facebook at Brianne. And now with Kara Robinson, she was born on the island of St. Lucia, moved to St. Martin, lived on Trinidad, and now is living in Hanover, Maryland. That's a lot of places. She was in the Navy, but now she works for the federal government as an academic program manager. She has had a lot of side gigs, but now she works with Facilitate and Motivate and Mission is Possible. And she facilitated a series called Can You Hear Me Now, which is for Black women in the workplace. And she created a space where Black women have a platform to be heard. Mission is Possible is showing people that dreams can be reached, and she is in the business of helping people help themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Kara Robinson. What's up, Kara?
Hello. Quite an introduction. I'd like to meet this lady you introduced.
Oh my goodness gracious, just look in the mirror. So you have such a fascinating story. Please, let's hear a bit about it.
Ooh, a story. Once upon a time, in the 80s, this lady gave birth to this pretty cool girl. Me.
Damn
So
right.
just so stop joking around, right? So I was born on the island of St. Lucia, like you said right here, and I moved when I was it was actually 6 days before my 7th birthday. And I remember that because it was New Year's Day, and there was remnants of fireworks all over the streets on this new island that I moved to. So I could still remember the day very, very well. It was my first time flying. I remember as a kid watching, people when you're in an airplane and you see people moving, I was like, oh, look, little dolls. How cool is that? My young mind. But anyway, it was an experience before. And I moved to St. Martin and grew up. So St. Martin became my home. That is the place that I would say my formative years were on that island. So it was pretty I love it a lot. It's home. In my heart, but again, growing up and moving in a whole new place, there were a lot of like challenges coming there, like learning. I had to learn new languages, meeting new people. It was a very challenging time. The high school was the most challenging for me, for a number of reasons. It was never it was more about the home or what it was. Having difficulty to actually even get like textbooks. I remember growing up not having textbooks for classrooms, and I used to leave home early to take the early bus to take friends' books so I could do my homework because I didn't have the textbook to do my homework.
Wow.
Right? I know, but so I learned how to. From a very early age, I learned how to navigate this by being a good listener. I didn't have the books to go home and study. So I compensated by listening and asking a lot of questions to the teachers. So while people thought I was being, a pain in the butt by asking a lot of questions, really what I was just doing is trying to learn as much as possible because I know I didn't have the books, right?
So
I didn't have the books to go home to.
So you ask questions. So you ask questions more to seek to understand things so you can get that mental picture of them.
Precisely. I ask the questions, a lot of questions, and follow-up questions. So I get them because then if I understand it well, I wouldn't have to memorize it when the exam comes. And there are times when there were exams and I could hear my teacher's voice in the way that they're saying. I could picture them in the classroom. So I would see vivid like images of in the classroom what they were doing. And that's how I kind of, sailed through school. And a skill that I did to survive in school that actually reaped benefits for me now as an adult. Right?
Oh yeah.
So now I do everything I do right now. I seek first to understand. I ask questions a lot, and so I like that. And it's so the way I've gotten through. Even in college, I did the same thing. I asked a lot of questions. I mean, then I had textbooks, but it had been so ingrained in me to just ask a lot of questions, and that way I wouldn't have to study. I kind of did that.
So in college, it was like that was a total cheat code. Like you must have really excelled in college because not only did you have the information that you were gathering from the teacher in class, but also you had the textbooks in which the teachers wanted to know on the test as well.
Exactly. The hard part of college is you had to write. Gosh, I hated writing. An oral exam. Why can't you just have oral exams all through college? Make my life easy. Gotta write papers.
I'm the total opposite. I got my English degree just because I could write so well. So I could like finagle, a paper. I could finagle about a good 10 pages out of nothing. You know what I mean? Out of very little. But you asked me to explain it. I'm like, well.
See, we all have our cheat codes.
Yeah.
Right. Mine was just, listen well and ask a lot of questions. And then if I understand it, then I could, I write about it. One of the writing papers, then I would just more, I'll get straight to the point. But, as a writer, as an English person, you have to, expound on a thought. One thought, 2-3 paragraphs. I'm like, come on, just get straight to the point. Right. And I would just go straight. I remember one professor saying, can you elaborate? I'm like, but I told you what it was. Like, what more do you want? But I survived it. I survived undergrad and grad school. So I think.
Ow. Grad school, though. What'd you graduate in grad school with?
A Master of Science in Negotiation and Conflict Resolution.
Holy cow. You're a smart bugger.
Well, here's what undergrad, I did sociology. Everything for me was always about survival. Everything I did was to know, how do I survive this world? I figured if you understand people and understand them well, understand how they communicate, not just verbally, but just watching their body language, watching everything about them, then regardless of the environment you're in, because you understand people so well, you can navigate that space, right? And so I did sociology to understand how people interacted with each other so I could operate and see. And then I did negotiation, conflict resolution to understand, is when people are having disagreements, is it really what's being said? Is it something that they're thinking of an internal struggle that they're having? Is it a struggle with a person and struggle with an idea? So then I use that information to communicate with them and to kind of, let me not say get what I want because that sounds really bad, to achieve my goals.
Oh, what a very PC way to say that. Good job. Hey, so like you studied relationships. So you studied people and relationships over time. And what was the plan for you to do with that after you got you accumulated all this education?
So a good question you asked that, because I remember someone asked me in undergrad, I said, so what are you going to do with sociology? Because at that time I did undergrad in the Caribbean, in Trinidad. So that's the part that I lived, right? And they're like, well, you're in the Caribbean. What are you really going to do with well, more behavioral sciences emphasis? And then I switched to like I do a few extra credits to sociology. So it was heavy behavioral sciences major. And like, what you going to do with that? I thought my education was really for me and my living. I never looked at education as something to get me to earn a living from. So, because I also realized that I learn things quickly. So if anything comes in terms of a job, I can learn the skill quickly. I say most of the work is on the job training. Most of what we do is OJT, right? Yeah. They're really just trying to, some except a lawyer, that should not be OJT. But if someone's a lawyer watching this, forgive me. But, some jobs you do definitely need the expertise on, specifically to do the job. But
Mm-hmm.
apart from the professionals like lawyer, doctor, scientists, and so on, I say most of it is OJT, and you can learn it quickly and earn a living. So I never looked at my education to earn a living. My education was for me and how I can navigate the world, how to see things, how to see people, how to stay alive.
Yeah. What was it? All right. So that's very key right there. What was the thing that you thought, oh, this thing might take me out, or these people might take me out? Like, why was navigating so important to you? Was it something that you had gone through as a little kid? Like, or was it a belief in, because I grew up in the hood, you know what I mean? So but lucky for me, I was totally naive to what was going on. So like me passing crackheads and me passing drug dealers, it was all something that I was totally oblivious to. So I never got that notion that I had to survive. It was just like, oh yeah, I go to school, I come in the house when the lights come on, I watch TV. I just kind of stayed in my own little world. What was it about your world that what made you want to survive?
Well, at one point, there was no electricity in my home. There was no running water. So I can remember actually in that maybe somebody hearing it like, you really? Yeah, I did not. There was no, I remember going to school and there was no like, and everyone was thinking, that's in high school, I'm going through school and no meals. But in elementary school on the island, they had, I remember they give you like food, right? I remember there's milk and peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That was sure. Your milk and bread was supplied. So in elementary school, I looked forward to that. In high school, we didn't have, lunches, so you had to pay your own, and it's not free. So education, not, you don't have that access like you have here. You had to pay for education, and it was based on your academic achievements. You were placed in schools based on your academic achievement. So, lucky for me, my academic achievement got me to pretty school, but. And I can't afford, the books for the school, but at least I was, smart enough to survive and graduate from the school. So that's a plus for me. But that hard time definitely was like, that experience told me that I had to survive. I just had to survive. I did not have the luxury of feeling sorry for myself. I did not have. To me, if I had to stop and think, oh, this is bad, that's the being able to pause and think that things are bad, I thought was a luxury. I always had to survive. It's like, get up and see the next day. Got to figure it out. Something happened. So even now as an adult, I do the same thing. I see a problem, I identify it. I don't spend that much time of problem. It's like, good. Now that I've identified, my immediate next step is, what are we going to do about it? How do we solve this? And to an extent, it has helped. Now people are saying, well, let's just dissect the problem. I'm like, no, we've already identified it. Let's fix it. Right? Let's focus on the fixing part. Can we fix that? Yes. But I know that stemmed from me just trying to live for the next day, or to be one step ahead, or to, find a way to prepare myself to just when something hits the fan, most likely will, at least I could be strong enough to, weather the storm.
Amen.
So that has been my thing. It has been that's kind of rough. Thinking back at it, now looking back at it, like, that was really rough. like I remember I go through school the entire day, and all I had was, go to the water cooler when I'm hungry and just drink some water. Yeah, that's it. And then, thinking back, it's like there's no food in my system to actually process the information that I'm receiving for education. But I made it.
Heck yeah. Now looking back at everything that you have gone through in the islands, what do you know more about the human spirit then?
Oh, the human spirit, like I said, I think there is so much we can do. I think we are freaking phenomenal. Like human beings, we have not even put ourselves to the test of what's possible. Like we have not even scratched the surface of what's possible. And sometimes I look at it this way, like I look at when I'm flying in an airplane, I'm like, we have metal in the sky, people, metal in the sky. Right? And everyone is just like, yeah, this is okay. I'm like, no, this is metal in the sky. And I'm just thinking of like which human brain, like what made a human? I probably a force of inspiration probably with birds. And then I'm like, what else are we not pausing enough to be inspired by through nature? Because I think nature is like, to me, the perfect source of inspiration.
Yeah.
Or anything. And so when I look at, sometimes when I look at through nature and be like, what is it like that we can learn from just anything that we as human beings, if we pause enough to even ask and get up ourselves, because, you know, we think as human beings, we're like, you know, we're at the top of the food chain, we're the best. We're not even anywhere near yet.
Mm-hmm.
So every now and then nature reminds us, you know, I'm boss. Take a seat, right? So, but it lets me know that there's so much that's possible with us, through us, if we just allow ourselves to be the vessel.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. It's a lot.
That is beautiful, and you're spreading that message obviously with women as you work for the different organizations that you're working with. So, can you tell us about Mission is Possible?
So, Mission is Possible is the thing that I just started recently with you know, more teaching, more like getting to know yourself. All right. So I say you got to know yourself to grow yourself. And sometimes we take a lot of time. We spend time trying to figure everyone else out. But if you don't know who you are, don't know what you want, don't know where you want to go, don't know what's possible in you. Like I was saying before, being able to learn how to pause and just in a lot of introspection, right? And that's what I want to help people to just, you know, just turn that thing around, just turn the lens, just turn it inside, you know, stop busy with the noise and just find out more time to ask yourself, you know, who am I? Ask that regularly. Who am I? I'm not talking about your job title. I'm not talking about, you know, your marital status, your children. Some people say, who am I? I'm a mom. I have this. I'm a teacher. No, who are you?
Yeah.
Right. And then I want people, you know, to keep asking that question and just peeling it off layer by layer. You know, when you say, okay, who am I? I am a program manager. Okay, no, that's what you do. That's what you do.
Right.
Who are you?
Yeah.
I'm a mom. No, that's you break someone. Who are you? Just keep asking that question until you get to that core of the person, you know, and then what is your mission?
Amen.
What is that person? Now that you know who you are, what is your mission? Right. And I would say the mission, it doesn't have to be something that comes out of nowhere. You define the mission. You can decide what it is, but you have to know who you are to know what's the mission that's calling you, the person that you finally are meeting, right? What is that calling you? And it is possible, you know, and let's get it out there and just, you know, take over the world.
So I'm going to put you on Front Street. You ready?
Oh.
Who are you?
I am a big ball of energy that's just waiting to fill any room I enter. Positive energy. I am the person that walks into a room and leaves it better, happier, more fulfilling than I met it. I am Carol Robinson.
I love it. And what is your purpose?
My purpose. There is so much good in the world that is walking around in bodies and physical bodies. My purpose is to uncover all that good and just let it out there. Just release all that good into the world. This is it, to find those people, find the core, find the good that's in everyone, and just like let it out. Just let out that good. Because I believe that all the good, all the combined good at the core of everyone, one put together.
Yes.
That's when I think human beings we're gonna be like freaking phenomenal. Right? But everyone is like undercover, right? Right? Everyone is undercover. And I just want to go out here, just, you know, get out.
I love it. And you are definitely getting women from undercover with your organization of Facilitate and Motivate. Please tell us more about that as well.
So with that one, we actually found with two other colleagues, Janita Pritchett and Christina Jones. The two of them, they're both chemists, and what actually got the the ball started for this. I think it was, there was a government shutdown. I think it was 2018. There was a government shutdown somewhere that way. Yeah, government shutdown. And we were like, oh, you know what? We should start a business. Then we're like, in what? That was Janita and I were talking, sharing ideas of what we should do. And in the job that we do, we realize that especially Black students, or when I say students, or like say graduate or undergraduate students, are not able, I would say not able, or not doing a good, I will say good job of what I would say expressing what they can do or who they are. Yeah. They're a good job of selling themselves. They're pretty good. They have the skills, but in terms of selling themselves to someone, say, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Don't do a really good job at that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like, if we have the skills and we're seeing what people are looking for, we see, when we're going through resumes or reviewing packages, we see it.
Yeah.
We know what people are looking for. It's like, you know what? Let's help the Black community, or even Black women specifically. Although it's not only Black women, although we are Black women, but men, women, boys, girls, teenagers. Let's help them to be confident in their abilities and, how to share that, how to market themselves, how to talk about what you have to offer. Mm-hmm. And that's what really comes to facilitate, to motivate. We want to motivate you, whether through workshops, one-on-one coaching, or through help you craft a good resume, interview preparation. Mm-hmm. So, because some people on paper, like you say, you do a good job. You've got the skills, right? But when you're sitting from someone else, you're like, there is this, how do I communicate? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I don't know. It's like, and there's so helping them through that part, to kind of like, make it through the world, especially, Black people.
Amen. Amen. Especially Black people, to be able to get skills such as telling your story mm-hmm. and communicating is key. I remember when I was in network marketing or multi-level marketing, one thing that they always talked about was telling your story, because mm-hmm. that will help you communicate with any prospect out there. And me transitioning from being a teacher, a middle school mm-hmm. social studies teacher, to now becoming an entrepreneur, I had to learn that story. The one that I told you about, the whole story mm-hmm. and how it all comes together and why I have the purpose that I have. You know mm-hmm. what I mean? So for you to be able to connect someone with their story and empowering them in that way, and showing mm-hmm. them that they're just like any origin story, how they had a beginning, but now they have mm-hmm. the present and such a bright future is outstanding. What changes have you seen some people make because of you being able to get them in touch with those skills?
Actually, one of the I would like the change that I saw. We did a workshop. We call mm-hmm. a leadership workshop with like middle school, high school students that we mm-hmm. did for some for I think it was an SB chapter, and we just helped them, creating an elevator pitch early. So these are creating an elevator, like let's go back again, like how to talk about crafting a good elevator pitch. Just talking, especially the kids we were working with, well, they're not really kids, but teenagers we were working with, mm-hmm. right? And they go like present, posters or wherever you go in conferences, and to be able to be confident when you're presenting, to say what you are, and learning the art of communication. Sometimes we hear communication, everyone's like, well, you got to speak. And I keep reminding, that's only 7% of mm-hmm. communication, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're teaching them how to have, your body language, yes. When you step into a space, what is it about it? And sometimes, especially if you're the group we were working with, they're like scientists, engineers, you tend to be a little more reserved. Mm-hmm. So learning how to, present your best self in any situation, it's always important,
Mm-hmm. Get that posture right. Yes, exactly. The nonverbal communication is the most important.
It really is. And so it was good seeing, because they were younger too, hearing the parents' feedback was really, really rewarding. And when they're like, yeah, we're just so happy that we have our son or daughter participate in this. This is really, really good information. Mm-hmm. And one thing that we also realized is that sometimes, especially in the Black community, we wait until very late. Sometimes we wait until like college years to figure out how to, presentations. The earlier, the better, right? The earlier we start, the better it is. Just the basics. It doesn't have to be, a whole big, what I call them. We don't have to speechify. We can just simplify, right? Right? Hey, that's a nice quote. Don't speechify.
Let me write that down. Hold on.
Don't write it down, right? And so it's like we want to start early because these are sharp, bright youngsters that we want to get them at the time when, it's helping them see beyond just the academics that they're having right now. Because the academics is really great. We do a good job of, pushing and talking the academics. And the other part of you sometimes get left out. Because now you're great on paper. You could kill not kill. You would do it really well on an exam. But then when it comes to talk about
it's the slang. Okay? It's the slang. Okay? Oh gosh.
I'm not trying to get canceled before I even get started.
Okay? Too much. I love it.
Right?
But you can do well on a test, and
you can do well on a test. But when it comes time to talk about the same content that you do so very well writing about, then you go in a shell, and then and sometimes it is misinterpreted as ignorance. You don't know what you're talking about.
100%. I mean, it's all based upon upbringing. I know some people let's just say with myself, I grew up in a household where I didn't feel like I was good enough. You know what I mean? So therefore, I carried myself with a place of like a lack of confidence, shoulders down, didn't really talk about myself too much, could make jokes and everything. But, it was more reflected away from me than to bring things like to the attention of what I appreciate, what were my priorities. Because then you have an opportunity to be vulnerable and people can crack jokes on them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like for you to give someone that superpower, good on you. Like that automatically raises somebody's self-esteem. It gives them so much self-worth because of that skill that they are having. Good. Congratulations. I'm going to give a round of applause. Ow. Heck yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But actually, talking about superpower, that was one of our workshops we had entitled was, discovering your superpower, right? Yeah. And and sometimes you just give it up, just don't give up your superpower.
Never. And you can do that with your presence, and you are teaching more and more people to do that with their voices as well.
Yeah, I know. Human beings are awesome. Human beings are awesome.
You've always had this view that human beings are awesome?
No.
I
was very pessimistic at one point.
Really?
I remember someone saying that. I could remember the time when someone says, you're very, very pessimistic. At that time, I really felt offended though. Like, no, I'm not. But I'm looking back because sometimes when people say something to me, I tend to, try to understand, like, what did I do or say? So the wheels start turning. I'm trying to think of, the statements that I made or what it is. And I say, is it true or is it not true? So it was true. I was very pessimistic. But I've since then learned that, I learned earlier, I remember a math teacher used to have quotes all over her classroom. That's where my love for quotes began, but she used to have a lot of quotes in her classroom, and they're talking about, glass being half full and half empty. I can remember exactly what it was, but I can remember the image right there. I can see the poster on the wall, a glass, being half full or half empty. It kind of depends on your perspective of how you choose to view it. And I kind of I could choose, like learning early. I think the biggest gift I got was learning early on that I have a choice. And some people learn that late in life. I feel that I attribute where I am now, understanding that I do have a choice. And not only that I have a choice, but I have to understand the choices that I make directly impact what I am. So whether, I would say you have a choice. You're free to choose. You can choose whatever. You're not free from the consequences of those choices. Those won't happen, right? And I look at them and I say, good or bad is a consequence. Good bad consequence. I know we use consequence in negative term. I just say, hey, whatever you got right now is because of a choice that you made. And so I'm sometimes I used to be really hard on myself when I'm in a bad situation, but then I know I also knew that I got myself there. So therefore I have to get myself out of there. So I kind of, that's when the shifting of from the pessimist to more optimistic. I know when the strong positive optimism came was before I went to college. Want to hear a story? So going to university again, I'm in the Caribbean. Nothing is free. You don't have student loans. Yay! You're lucky if you have student loans. I mean, that's the good part, right? And so I graduated high school. I remember telling my mom at the time I'm going to college, and she's like, "So how are you going to pay for that?" I was like, "I don't know, but I'm going to college." Right? I'm going to college, and I remember this thing. Growing up in church, talk about faith, right? And faith is the mustard seed. When you're young, you take those things literally. So I took it literally that faith could happen. Amen. I had $0 and 0 cents, but I was going to university. I applied. I got in. A week before, I have no ticket. I have no money for a plane ticket because it's in another country. I have no money for tuition. I have no money for room and board. I have $0, but I'm going to college though.
Damn right.
I'm going to college. Long story short, I went to college. I got this a friend and I put together a little concert. Don't ask me to sing, but it got me some money for a plane ticket. I got a plane ticket from these vocals, right? But I got a plane ticket to go to school. And that was the one way. And now I got there. But now I arrived at registration day. This is me sitting in line in the finance. This is Caribbean. You have to sit in a line in the finance office. You got to show your payment plan. Your girl's sitting in here, $0 or 0 cents, but she's going to register.
Damn right.
Yo, it was, I still can't think of how it happened. All I know is I got registered. Yep. The finance lady gave this. I give the story. It's like, I'm going to figure it out. I have this conversation. We talked about a payment plan. I was like, I'll figure it out. But she agreed and let me, register. Yeah. I registered for classes, got a dorm, got a room. Your girl was in there. Got a spot.
All you needed was the opportunity, yo.
Listen, I just need an opportunity to talk to somebody. Okay. That's all I need.
No, that's right.
I got in there and then I'm thinking back at it. And even through university, because I had $0. I remember the one semester after the summer break, we were going back home because in the summertime, I don't know if it's the same here too, but I know undergrad, you have to pay for the dorm if you're staying in the summertime because, you got to pay if you're staying there, you got to pay and I don't have the money to pay. So, but I had no money for food. And lucky for me, I was on a campus with some fruits, so mangoes.
Hey, wow. Made it happen.
I was eating. I had mangoes. That's what kept me for the whole summer. It was mango season. I had mango all day, every day. Yeah. Yep. I didn't care, but I ate. I didn't die. I figured it out, right? But it was, and then I learned, went back home, take a semester off, work, save some money, and then go back. So I just went back and forth. It took me like 7 years to finish a 4-year degree. That's because your girl was, going back, trying to make some money, save, and then going back to another island for. Yeah. Oh, it was a struggle, but I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it through. So that's why I have this whole thing that nothing is impossible.
Yes,
because I still can't believe to the day that I had no money for. I said I'm going to university. I had no money for a plane ticket. Out of the blue, we say, you know what, we're going to do a fundraiser concert. Asking a little collection plates. You
did it.
Plane ticket.
You did it.
Ticket. Go through. So that's why. That's where the strong positivity and faith thing. To me, that was I would say that was when it was birth. Yeah. And since then, I was like, if I could go through this.
Say it again.
I say everything is possible. If anything, not any and everything is possible.
Amen.
But
Amen.
yeah, it is.
You
Now
are
that we're off to church.
you are such a goddess. I love it. I love it. I love
Thank you.
it. And that is why it's such an opportunity for like a wonderful opportunity for me to help you with and the Drop Your Baggage podcast with one of your fears. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what we do on the Drop Your Baggage podcast is we talk to people that are dope, that can give you hope, but also teach you a technique that can help you cope. And that technique is the mental and emotional release process. I am a certified trainer of neurolinguistic programming that has had over 250 clients in which I've done this with. So if anybody is wanting to do that, please contact me at charleswoolfork.com or learn more about the process through eliminatinginsecuritiesnow.com. Once again, that's eliminatinginsecuritiesnow.com. And please go to a licensed neurolinguistic programming or a certified neurolinguistic programming practitioner if you want to do that. Okay. We are not social workers. We're nice psychologists. We're nice therapists. Just want to let her know that just as much as anything. But it's definitely a big help. All right. Now, you said that you wanted to release your fear of scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
You dwell on that just a little bit.
Yeah, the fear of scarcity. I was like, as some of my stories that I've shared before, the constant was always scarcity. I was always at a point in life where like I didn't have, and food was a big one, didn't have food. I mean, I was really skinny. I was like, oh, you're so slim. That's because I was starving. Duh. I'm gonna be slim on purpose. but I was always afraid. I was afraid of, like, I have the fear of like just being so poor that I'm on the street, right? Not having something enough. I've always looked back and forth like I don't want to be that. And sometimes it still scares me. Like if I don't have, I could be on the street any time. So I work really, really, really hard to make sure I don't have. And but I've learned since then that it manifests itself in weird ways. That fear of scarcity, and I think we discussed with that earlier. So hopefully, through your intervention, right? We can get through this, drop this baggage, and hopefully that horrible manifestation of my fear of scarcity will be minimal.
100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to change your consciousness around the fear of scarcity. Now, there's only 3 things that you have to do in order for this to be wildly successful. Number 1, you got to use your imagination. Number 2, you got to follow directions. I mentioned to you last time about how important following directions is. If you do your own thing, you're going to screw it up. So follow directions. Number 3 is to trust the process. Just know that I'm your guide and I'm going to be leading you through this easily and effortlessly.
Yay, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death? No evil.
Have faith. You got it. So with that, when you're going through the process, the most important things are the learnings. So you're going to the best way to get rid of your old thought pattern is to put a new thought pattern in there. So what is something positive? What is something empowering that you can tell yourself throughout your whole life, like throughout your whole timeline? What's that positive thing, that positive affirmation, that lesson, that learning that you need to have so you can change that negative thought pattern to a positive thought pattern? Now, you'll see. Now, so your past can be to your left, to your right, or behind you. If you were to know, where's your past?
Behind.
Where's your future? Perfect. That's it. You ready?
Yep.
Let's get it. Is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to release this fear of scarcity today, or for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
Awesome. What is the root cause of this problem? The first event, which when disconnected, will cause this problem to disappear. If you were to know, when was the first time that you had a fear of scarcity? How old were you?
I was 11.
11? Do you remember specifically, huh?
I remember specifically. I remember the event.
Mm.
I remember what triggered it.
What happened?
Come to the house, realize there's zero electricity and no water.
Mm. It's like, oh, snap.
Yes.
WTH. You can go ahead and close your eyes and relax and let me know when you're ready for the process. You're so crazy.
I told you. Alrighty. Oh. Right.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, just imagine floating up above your timeline and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past, above that first event in which you felt that fear of scarcity when you were just a little girl. And just hover above that little girl, seeing her from a third person point of view. Let me know when you can see her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now stay right there in that position, hovering above that little girl. Now, just ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event. The learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Just tell your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. Listen closely. What is something positive and empowering you can tell that little girl with the consciousness that you have today that would allow the emotions to evaporate like water on the concrete on a hot summer day? And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone.
Sure.
Awesome. Now, once again, the most important thing about this whole process is the learnings that you're replacing the negative thoughts with. So with your eyes closed and you hovering above that little girl, tell me, what did you learn?
Source of all life and abundance is within you.
Say that one more time.
The source of life and abundance dwells within you.
That's right. Make sure to remember that throughout this process. Now, just imagine floating up above your timeline and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past, above the dinosaurs, and then float into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. And imagine your timeline is the size of a fingernail. Let me know when you're there.
There.
Now, just float there, weightless, in space. And as you float there, ask yourself now, where are the emotions? Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared? Now.
I'm here.
Awesome. Now, just imagine floating down inside the event, seeing through your own eyes as a little girl and check on the emotions. Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared? Now.
I'm not there.
Awesome. Float back above your timeline and then float above the dinosaurs and then float deeper and deeper into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. Let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
All right, listen closely, very closely. Float very, very high above your timeline, above each and every event in which you felt that fear of scarcity from birth until now in chronological order. Don't skip any event that has a charge on it. Preserve the learnings and let go of that fear of scarcity all the way back to now. Go.
Hey, it's all gone.
Awesome. Float down into your body and open your eyes when you're ready.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Can you see me now?
Ah, look at you. Good job. Very good. Look at you. I love that response. I love it.
uh, mm, you know what I'm thinking? Well, sorry, that was a lot of talk.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, this is it's the experiences that if we can pause, we got it through
Mm-hmm.
some of this. Um, it makes it, like I say, you do feel different. Actually, I kind of feel lighter, believe it or not. Weird, but it's like what's standing out to me right now is like what's kind of like being on repeat in my head. It's like you're connected to the source of like
Mm-hmm.
everything,
Yes.
right? It's like there's that connection, and just dwell in that, dwell in that
Yeah.
connection, stay there, get familiar,
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm-hmm.
close,
Mm-hmm.
be besties. And so every time now, and I'm thinking that every time that something goes through, what I think might be it's just like just remember, you're connected to the source.
Yes.
You're connected. Get out of your own way.
Yes.
You're connected to the source. It's actually pretty cool.
Wow.
It is.
That's amazing. So let's check on it. All right. Do you smell bacon?
Why are you smelling bacon?
That's an NLP technique to help you break your state of mind. So, can you remember a time in the past in which you used to feel that old emotion? And go back and notice if you can feel it, or you may find that you cannot.
I can't. Actually, it's more going back. I can't feel it, but I actually feel now when I go there in that space is compassion, like complete compassion. Like you don't
Mm.
even want to hug her. Like
Mhm.
it's gonna be okay.
Yes. Yes.
Right? That's what it is. It's like complete compassion.
Mm.
That's what I'm feeling or in that space. It's
Yeah.
kind of like me hugging myself in that space.
It's totally fine. It's family. You guys are blood. You know what I mean?
I know her better than she know me. But yeah, you feel that complete compassion for that in that space. It's like,
Mm.
yeah.
I want you to imagine going out into the future
Mhm.
to an unspecified time in the future, in
Mhm.
which, if the same thing would have happened in the past, you would have felt that fear of scarcity. But it's the future now. So see if you can find that old emotion, or you may find that you cannot.
No, I'm sticking with connected. We're
Yes.
tight.
Yeah. Congratulations. You just released a bunch of fear.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We're tight now. We're tight.
So that connection with source was something that was a common theme that you had throughout your whole timeline.
Mhm. It's like, yeah, I'm connected. It's like this. What are you afraid of? I got you. I
Mhm. Yeah. E-
got you.
Everything's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay. Which is pretty cool. And it was actually another, well, say emotions, more of a feeling of, forgiveness, like forgiving whatever or whomever caused that situation to get that little girl in that fearful space, right? There was both happened, like in the space,
Hmm.
because I'm trying to think of, what could have, because one of the things that you hold on to with that fear is that, you know, the connection of that fear was it was done by somebody else, somebody else put such a fear in you or created an environment that caused that girl than to be so fearful.
Mm-hmm.
And then that connection of people and that fear of scarcity. It kind of tied to a thing I think we spoke about before is that, feeling that people are the reasons or can be the source of that fear. If you allow them space in you, they can create that, environment that you had of feeling so fearful.
Always.
So they kind of did two things there that kind of released that, kind of give forgiveness for that person or persons who may have created an environment where fear reigned for that girl. And I was like, it's okay.
Wow. Wow. The compassion, not only for yourself, but also for the people that like you said, have put you in that situation, have rang through. What a great amount of growth in such a short amount of time. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was cool. Because one of the prompts was like, you look at the environment, right? And I was seeing all the people in the environment, and I'm like thinking I was seeing multiple people. Yes, I was there too, but I was there with others.
Yes.
So when I did go there, there was others. So then as I was like, everything else I was trying to notice, I could actually see that. I could see the room right there, and I was like, yeah. So.
No, like that's how you go deepest. You go deepest when you not only see yourself and have that acceptance and compassion and forgiveness and everything for yourself, but when you can branch out and see the whole environment and see that whole the whole event as one of a bunch of humans interacting with one another, which with you and your sociology degree and everything and who you are, who you embody, you can do that so easily. That's where the massive growth comes. Because then you're like, oh, yeah, I went through this and it was crappy. But then what is that person going through? Or what is this person going through? Like, that's where so much more growth is just expedited in that short amount of time. Great job. Great job. That was all unprompted, too. Well, way to go.
It was. That's the thing. Because like, I was just thinking about, you didn't ask for that, but I was just like, you go there, but you said above. Right. And I went above and I saw the whole room.
Yes.
Right. Just bad. I was not the only person there because I remembered the day. And so I engaged everything that was in the space.
Yes. Yes. That's what takes the great amount of releasing. So now it's just like, you may have released fear for what you went through, but now it's like you said, it's a fear of being stuck in a situation where someone else may be someone else's actions may be the result of you potentially losing something. There is nothing else. There's only first cause. There's only source. There's only you. You know what I mean? And you have there's a faith that everything is going to work out.
It is. Actually, this is pretty cool.
What did you expect?
Okay. You get the credit. Okay.
Can you describe anything else for the audience out there who has not tried mental and emotional releases yet?
I would say be open. Just the more you open, and I would say just flow, just be, right? And like you said, brothers, don't be in your head. Allowing yourself to just go through and completely, you have the reward. I think it's better that way, right? You just go through. It has a bigger impact, and you can feel it. There's I'm like the experience physiological difference from that experience, right? It's not just like the psyche playing. Oh yeah, you should do it. No, that you could feel that. Like, it's hard to put words to it, but it's like you feel it. You would feel it. And but I would say it's just like you got to be open completely. You just be.
that feeling is a different feeling, right? Like you said, you feel a little lighter. It's
right,
like a little tingling here and there.
It feels good. And there's like this excitement, like you're ready to take on the world. Like, what's coming my way?
How is your perspective of things to come any different as of right now? Now, I know I'm asking you a lot of different circumstantial questions. However, that's something that you'll see where the triggers aren't going to be as intense as before. So where do you see yourself in the future with this lack of fear?
I see in the future less, I would say the fear of other people like creating an environment. It's just like, so put it this way. At times I would be like, well, so and so could be the reason that I feel like whatever way, but I now know that that power is not in them, you know? So, and that is in me. And then the reminder, like, no, they don't have that power to have you feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So stop being afraid. And like, it's supposed to happen to you, and you're going to lose this and you lose that. And just overthinking, you're connected.
Yes.
You're connected.
Yes. Ah, you're a rock star. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
This is my let me take a shot for your what do you call that thing when you take a screenshot of
Oh yeah,
video?
yeah. The thumbnail.
Thumbnail. So get it go. So I did it twice, so you better get my thumbnail right.
I got it. I'm like, you'll see. Thank you.
Don't do that because I'll find you. No.
Thank you so much for showing up for your divine appointment.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the invitation.
Mm-hmm. Any last words that you want to give to the audience? Any words of inspiration or wisdom?
I would definitely say spend some time today and ask yourself, just look in the mirror, ask you, who am I? And write it down. Every answer you have, write it down. Write it down until it no longer falls under the bucket of social identity, your job, your children, your family. Just keep writing it until you get to who you are. And after that, ask the question, what is my purpose?
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing else left to say. For everybody out there on YouTube or Facebook, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. If you are on a podcasting platform, please consider giving me a 5-star review and tell me how you feel. You guys take care of yourselves out there and take care of one another.
Mm-hmm.